Hello all my crafty people, and welcome back to another machine embroidery video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be working on the machine itself. However, I am going to be showing you how I would hoop this type of project. So today you can see I have a little hand towel, washcloth, whatever you want to call it. It is a terry cloth towel though, so it has that thicker feel to it. It has that nap to it, meaning those little threads that kind of poke up and things like that off of the fabric. And for the supplies that you're going to want for this are a water soluble topper, which was that plastic stabilizer that you saw initially. And then what I'm using for the bottom is going to be just a medium weight Tearaway stabilizer with the KK2000, which is a temporary spray adhesive. So meaning it's just a spray glue. And the reason I use that is because it's a lot cheaper to get just a regular Tearaway and a spray glue as opposed to a sticky back Tearaway, which tends to be like 2 or 3 times the price. And then you can see here I have my embroidery hoop. My hoops come with little grids, which make it really easy to sort of center things up on your different embroidery projects. Now, depending on the size of the towel that you're going to be embroidering on, I recommend kind of always sticking to a medium-sized embroidery hoop if possible. The bigger the hoop, the more difficult it becomes to work with, and higher chances that you have of like unseating the two hoops from each other, which is really annoying if like you're walking towards the embroidery machine and the top hoop pops right out on you. So definitely try and keep to a medium-sized hoop, make it a lot easier for yourself to work with. And then what I'm doing here is I'm hooping the Tearaway stabilizer. And as you can see, my sheet is a little bit bigger than the hoop I'm working with, which is what I always recommend. You always want a little bit of extra on all 4 sides because as the hoop is moving underneath the needle, the stabilizer itself could actually shift out of place and things like that. So you just want to make sure that you have your bottom stabilizer hooped in there nice and tight, nice and snug, that there's a little bit of extra on all 4 sides, and that's just going to make it a lot easier for you to work with. So there you go, I have it nice and hooped. And then what I do is I take my grid and, I light it up in the hoop. On the Janome hoops, they have L and R. It's like embossed on the embroidery hoop. And then it's also printed on the grid itself. So it makes it easy to, orient the graph correctly on the hoop. And then what this does is this allows you to find the center point. And what's nice about pretty much all embroidery machines is whenever you start a design, like say you're pulling up an initial or something like that, it's always going to start in the very center of the hoop. And so having that grid or finding that center point is going to make it easy for you to position your project wherever you need it to be. Now, you could obviously put like initials or maybe butterflies or flowers or something like that on the edge of the towel if that was the look that you were going for. For this particular one, I assumed that you would be embroidering right in the center. And so if you want to center something truly, what I do is I fold it in half once, fold it in half again, and then kind of line up that corner with the center point of the hoop itself. Now, realistically, on a towel design, you might not do it in the very center, but I think this is a great little practice project if you're just getting into machine embroidery. It's a small piece of fabric to work with. You're not going to have to worry about it getting caught up under the arm. All right, so here I'm just taking a marker and marking that center dot so I can go ahead and remove the grid. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spray adhesive and just spray the stabilizer. You don't need a whole lot. A little bit goes a long way. And really, we just need it to hold long enough, hold enough of the fabric to get it underneath the machine. Because what we're going to do, what I always recommend for any kind of fabric that has a nap, so terry cloth, fake fur, those like minky fabrics, what I like to do is get my topper on there. While I put the hoop on the machine, and then I put my topper on top of my fabric, and then I set up my embroidery machine to do a basting stitch. And what that usually looks like is a dotted line moving in a square. And basically what the embroidery machine does is it creates a basting stitch around the design of the embroidery project that you're doing. So if you're just doing an initial, it's going to be a small square that just kind of goes around the area where the letter would be. And I prefer doing that method as opposed to spraying or gluing the topper down, because it's going to hold all those layers together. And I don't like to use too much glue when doing embroidery. So you could do that if you wanted to. I would recommend setting up your embroidery machine for a basting stitch to hold all those layers together. And then the topper will work beautifully with the terry cloth fabric, because what it's going to do is it's going to hold the nap down. So that way the hoop can move more freely underneath the presser foot. And it's also going to make sure that our embroidery stitches sit on top of the towel as opposed to sinking into it. And with this topper, you could just throw your towel in the washing machine afterwards, and it's all good to go. Your embroidery is going to look beautiful. So there it is. It's all hooped up, ready to go. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Have a crafty day.